Joe Biden promised to nominate the first black woman to the Supreme Court, and on Friday, he did just that, naming federal appeals court Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as his pick to succeed Justice Stephen Breyer, for whom she clerked earlier in her career. Jackson is a Harvard grad, has served on the commission that develops federal sentencing policy, and if confirmed, she would also be the first former public defender on the high court. I'm joined now by Njeri Rutledge. She's a law professor at South Texas College of Law in Houston, who attended Harvard Law with Judge Jackson, where they were both active in the Harvard Black Law Students Association. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You wrote a great piece about this in The Hill. You said you were driving your daughter to school when you heard the news. What was your reaction?
Joy, pure joy, pride. My daughter kept saying, "Mommy, pull over. You're going to have an accident," because my phone was beeping, and I was trying to read the messages, and I just wanted, the final word. Now, I had heard that the president was going to make his decision Thursday. So I was already getting pings, but no one knew who it was going to be, or at least they didn't tell me. So I was just overjoyed.
And is your daughter old enough to have had a reaction to the announcement, or just to your reaction to the announcement?
A little bit of both. My daughter is 12 years old.
Oh.
And the importance of representation. I actually asked her why she thought it mattered that a black woman was going to be on the Supreme Court. And I was really proud of her answer. She said it means that it shows the world that we can do more than perform and cook. That there are so many things that we can do and so many doors that are open. So I think she really does have a great understanding.
The favorite line that I've read written about the judge since she first started being considered maybe a month or so ago was yours in The Hill. I want to read it. Again, you lived in the same residence hall. You're part of the Black Law Students Association together. This is your quote: "Being brilliant and down to earth is not a combination I often encountered at Harvard Law School." You want to elaborate just a drop?
Well, Harvard was a bit of a culture shock for me. I grew up in the South. I'm from the South, and Harvard and Boston was a little bit of a transition. At Harvard, there were a lot of really smart people, but there were some people who were a bit cutthroat. There were some people who weren't very friendly. There were some people who were arrogant. And because I always consider myself fairly nice and down to earth, I gravitated to like-minded people. Ketanji was just as sweet as she could be, always. And at the same time, just absolutely brilliant and hardworking.
You wrote about, of all the people you encountered at Harvard, she's going to encounter 100 senators, first the Judiciary Committee and more. This is from one of the 3 Republican senators who actually voted for her confirmation of the appeals court, Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. If media reports are accurate and Judge Jackson has been chosen as Supreme Court nominee to replace Justice Breyer, it means the radical left has won President Biden over yet again. And I repeat, this is somebody who voted for her recently. What's your reaction to what Senator Graham has to say?
I'm a bit frustrated by the hypocrisy, but I'm not surprised. In some ways, this is going to be politics as usual. I think if anyone were to give Judge Jackson a fair consideration, there is no question that she is extremely qualified and well-deserving of this position. But if you want to just kind of follow the rank and file of whatever the Republican talking points are, then you're going to say things like that. His statement was disappointing. I'm imagining to hear some similarly foolish and absurd things from Ted Cruz as well as Mitch McConnell.
Well, and also some of those people were talking about affirmative action as if Judge Jackson is not the smartest person in the room, and she is surely one of them. Another reaction which sort of surprised and upset me even more than Senator Graham's, I wasn't surprised. A day or two before she was selected, there was a poll. Let me read it to you. This is the AP poll. It said, "How important is it to you personally that a black woman becomes a Supreme Court justice?" And the conclusion is obviously not nearly as important as it is to you or your daughter. 70% of black women, yes. Black men, 54%. White women, 26%. White men, 16%. Virtually not important at all. What does that say to you about America in 2022? And again, I assume everybody watching knows there has never been a black woman in the Supreme Court of the United States, and I think it's a total of 7 non-white men in the history of the Supreme Court, if I'm right. What's your reaction to that?
A bit disappointed. It has been 233 years of the Supreme Court's history where we have never had a Black woman. I think perhaps the country is a bit fatigued. We went from electing our first Black president with everyone feeling hopeful and excited to going to a very different direction with President Trump. And I think perhaps some people are just fatigued and more apathetic. I don't think necessarily they don't want a Black woman on the Supreme Court. I think we are in a mindset of this country right now of being a bit self-centered. And unless they can see how it impacts them directly, I think some people just don't care. And I think it's important for people to care, because this is not just a victory for Black women or Black Americans. This is a great victory for everyone who respects the Constitution.
Two very quick final questions about her, how she dealt with other people, and you mentioned the kindness factor. We know that when nominee Kavanaugh was before the Senate committee, he cried and acted like a petulant child when he was, well, it's factually accurate. I mean, it is what it is. He cried and acted like a child, not exactly a judicial temperament that you're looking for. How does the Judge Jackson respond to criticism?
She's going to respond perfectly to criticism. As a Black female in the legal field, we deal with so many microaggressions every single day. I mean, just the whole talk about this is just a quota pick or affirmative action pick is very insulting, and it tries to minimize all the great accomplishments she's had and the hard work. But she's going to take it in stride. She is used to dealing with a vast majority of people, and in the end, she has a wonderful reputation as a consensus builder. So she knows how to work with people of different mindsets and being respectful. So we're not going to see hysterics from Judge Jackson. We're going to see someone who is poised and who will perfectly articulate every question that is given her way.
I want you to know I live about a half mile from Harvard Law School, so if I ever encounter someone who's brilliant and down to earth, I'll give you a call. Fair enough? Thank you.
If you meet Judge Jackson, you will.
Indeed. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And read your piece in The Hill, everybody. It's a terrific piece about the judge. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.